This is On the Sidelines with Box 13.
All right, welcome back into another episode of the On the Sidelines podcast. I'm your host, Ethan McReynolds, here as always with my partner in crime, D-Jack Dante Jackson.
Yes.
We've got a lot of news to cover. The Seahawks' biggest game of the season so far did not go their way, but we're going to be breaking it down. We learned a lot about their team. I've got 3 takeaways that I'm going to be getting D-Jack's reaction to. And we also got the good news, the Seattle Mariners, and moving forward with this offseason, re-signing Josh Naylor, their number one priority going into this offseason. He's coming back on a 5-year deal. D-Jack, let's start with the good news. We can save the Seahawks. We will be talking about them, so stay tuned to the end of the episode because I know everybody wants to talk Seahawks and react to this Rams game.
Yes,
but let's start with the positive. Let's start with the positivity.
Yes.
Josh Naylor is a Seattle Mariner for the next 5 years. Full no-trade clause. He's not going anywhere if he doesn't want to. He wants to be here in Seattle. First major free agent to sign. What'd you think?
That's my initial reaction is he wants to be here. I listened to his press conference. He said, he got a fair deal. He could have which means he could have signed somewhere else for more money, but he felt like it was unfinished business here in Seattle, and I would have to agree with him.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, and if you just look at how free agency normally plays out, baseball players wait a long time to get to the open market. I mean, there's so many years of club control. Once they get to the big leagues, then that service timer starts, and they, I don't know how many years it's arbitration, and they have 5 years or whatever it is. So, he is not able to go and get his market worth until this is age 28 season.
Wow.
I mean, he comes into the pros 6-7 years ago, or whatever it was. He's got to wait a long time to get to the open market, and so for him to forego trying to make every single penny, because if he had waited until Pete Alonso, the top first baseman in the market, had signed, not only would that have inflated the amount of money that he would have gotten as the last remaining, premier first baseman on the market, but if Pete Alonso, for example, signs with the Red Sox, the Mets are suddenly incredibly desperate to get a Josh Naylor, a premier middle-of-the-order bat, into their lineup. So if he had waited for Pete Alonso to come back, he easily would have eclipsed $20, $21, $22 million. Instead, he comes to Seattle. He wants to be here for a long time, signs for 5 years, and you get him at under $20 million per year. I mean, a dream scenario, I would say, going into this offseason.
I would say so, and hats off to Jerry Dipoto and Justin Hollander. You have your 3 superstars or all-stars in Naylor, Cal Raleigh, and Julio Rodriguez, and they're all on, I would say, reasonable deals, if you ask me, and long-term. So for the next almost, half a decade, you have your 3 pillars on the Mariners team, and they're all productive, and they want to be here. That's the main thing. I think that was the main thing I got out of that press conference. He wanted to be here. He signed early so Hollander and Dipoto can get to work and get him some backup. And he talked, when I listened to this press conference, he said World Series, numerous
Speak it
times.
Into existence,
yes,
Jack.
And that's something we talked about from day one on this podcast. I said and never heard Mariners and championship in the same sentence. Well, Josh Naylor has brought that attitude. He's speaking it into existence. He says there's unfinished business here, and he wants to be here.
Well, let's play a clip from his presser. I think this is the most telling. He talks about not waiting the market out and getting the most money and knowing where he wants to be. Here's Josh Naylor. This was yesterday, Tuesday, talking to the media.
Obviously, you could have tested the open market. That's what most of the free agents do. For me, I think talking to my agent, talking to my family, we knew where we wanted to go, and we got a deal done at a fair rate that we wanted. And as much as it is, as great as it is to get the most you can, I am more than comfortable here. I love this place. I love this fan base. I love this city. I love my teammates, and I'm super thankful to be back. We got a fair deal done, and I'm just grateful. I'm blessed. I'm not very greedy in that sense. I just want to win baseball games. I want to win for the city. I felt like that last loss, not that I had to come back, but I wanted to come back to give this fan base and this city and my teammates and their families a World Series in the next 5 years, or multiple World Series, or multiple pennants. The best thing I could give back, I want to give back. They deserve it. My teammates deserve it. My family deserves it. Their families deserve it. The head office and their families deserve it. All the coaches deserve it. So I had such a blast where I wanted to run it back with these guys and do it all again.
The one thing that I hear and feel from Josh Naylor whenever he talks is authenticity. I feel like he's a very genuine, authentic person with how he presents himself, which is quite rare in the world of sports. When it feels like players with all the spotlight on them is presenting sort of a facade, what they want. Look at Russell Wilson, for example. Josh Naylor, complete opposite of that. He is unapologetically himself, and I trust every word that he says, and he showed it with his actions. He wants to be here in Seattle, and he wants to bring multiple championships to this franchise. He cares about it so deeply. You, the fans, everybody listening, made such an impression on him that he sacrificed maybe tens of millions of dollars.
Yes, I would say
to come back here and make it be known that he is committed to this franchise.
And Josh Naylor is feeling the love. He said so.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, he even talked about Tucker, the Mariners' dog. He said he loved him. So it's a lot of love going around. And guess what? The Mariners fans love him also. He endeared himself to the fans. And myself also, when he came out, when he first got here, he said, this is a hitter's park. I love to hit at this park. This is not a pitcher's park. He laid the gauntlet down. He stopped all the excuses about T-Mobile Park. He stopped all the excuses, and now this might open the door for other free agents, to come in and possibly play for the Mariners, where you had to pay the Seattle tax for free agents to come here. Naylor has set the standard here at in Seattle, and now open the doors for other free agents to come.
Yeah, for a guy on the free agent market, and not a guy that's been here for years, a guy that had been here for 2-3 months.
Yes.
To forego the open market to be like, I want to be here. That is not the norm. That's not the norm whatsoever. And you're right, it does make Seattle more of a destination. I feel like it starts with Cal Raleigh and his commitment last offseason, them being able to get that deal done. You've got Josh Naylor signing for 5 years. I mean, those two guys are going to be the pillars of your lineup, along with Julio Rodriguez, for the next half decade.
Yes.
And then you've got this incredible farm system behind them that only adds to the attractiveness of the Seattle Mariners and coming and playing for this franchise. I mean, Jerry Dipoto mentioned in his conversation with Josh Naylor, he came with, prepared with research of his scouting report on the top prospects in the system, and he had a lot of questions about the depth behind the Major League roster. That's a guy that cares, that wants to win, that is focused on the right things, because that stuff matters. You need to have that backbone, the foundation of the prospect system, not only to acquire other assets, but for those young guys to come and supplement this Major League roster.
Yes, and now their expectations. The expectations are here now. He expects the Mariners to win, and that's what he talked about also. He wants to win, and that's what we talked about on this podcast forever, since the nexus, the genesis of this podcast. We said this is the podcast of champions, no excuses. We want championships, and that's exactly what Josh Naylor is saying with his actions and his words. He went ahead and signed a deal that was, he said, fair, which means he could have gotten more. He could have went elsewhere, but he fell in love with this city. This city was on fire for Josh Naylor. They love his grit. They love his attitude. And not to mention, he's a productive player now.
Yes.
He hit almost, 300, stole 19 bags while he was here. His defense was what was most surprising to me. I did not know he was as good a defensive first baseman as he was. Light on his feet, athletic, you name it. The Mariners have found their first baseman of the future. They have found their first baseman of now.
And what I love the most about Josh Naylor's bat, and you mentioned he hits for contact. He still has some pop. OPS over 800 speaks for itself. Stealing bags, that was a revelation. Yes. 19 bags in 54 games. He'd never stolen 19 bags in a season in his career. He did it in 54 games for 30 on the entire season. So obviously there's something there that clicked with Seattle. But what I like the most about his game is his two-strike approach. He gets up there with two strikes, and he might be chasing pitches, but he's fighting them off. He's battling. He's not swinging for the fences. I feel like we see that too much, not just on the Seattle Mariners, but throughout Major League Baseball. It's very refreshing to see a player value contact, putting the ball in play, and not just going, 3 true outcomes, home run, strikeout, walks all the time. So I love that from Josh Naylor. I love that from the middle of this order because, you talk about Scott Service before he left. He said, I want us to be a very hard team to pitch to. How do you do that? When you get down to 2 strike counts, you can't be an easy out. You need to battle. You need to fight. You need to, make it hard on pitchers to get you out. And Josh Naylor does that exceptionally well.
And going back in Mariners history to the 116-win team, I think that the unofficial mantra of that team was 2 outs, so what?
Yep.
So that breeds success when you out there battling and you have that approach to, to at-bats. And Josh Naylor, he's just a great player right now for the Mariners, and they made this move. And I want to ask you a question, Ethan. Mm-hmm. Does this signify a change in an approach, a change in the direction of the Mariners where, a lot of people said, hey, the Mariners are not going to do something like this. Well, it looks like they did something like this.
I think approach, yes. I'm not surprised they went out and got it done with Josh Naylor. I am a little bit surprised that it happened this early from their perspective. This front office has a history of waiting things out a little too much. Mm-hmm. Letting the market develop, seeing what's available cheaper on the trade market, stuff like that. I think they rightfully recognized how important Josh Naylor was to this franchise. And they didn't play that little cat and mouse game with the media and be like, we're keeping our options open and trying to lowball them and stuff like that. They said publicly, we want to bring Josh Naylor back. He is our main priority. And I think that means something. Players hear this stuff. The agents hear this stuff and they bring it to the player. This is how they're talking to you. This is how they're running this negotiation. So that stuff matters. The relationships with the players matter. And I think this is a really good step for the Mariners front office in how they conduct business because the last few off seasons we've talked about it. This is not what they have done.
Right. And to your point, Naylor said as much. He said the Mariners wanted him, and it feels great to be wanted.
Yes.
You're talking about a player. He started with Cleveland, then he gets traded to Arizona, and then midseason he gets traded to the Mariners.
Before that, he started his career with the Padres.
Right.
It's fifth organization.
He was in a farm system. Yeah. So he seems like a guy that likes the stability.
Yes.
He's a family guy, it seems. I don't know for a fact. He just wants that stability, and everybody wants to be wanted.
Absolutely. Well, so, now the Mariners have Josh Naylor.
Yes.
That begs the question.
What's next?
What is next for this offseason? Well, our Lauren Helmbrecht spoke one-on-one with President of Baseball Operations, Jerry Dipoto. Here's what he had to say about looking ahead in this offseason.
So now we can focus on adding another bat. We would love to do that. We would like to add to our bullpen. And now we have a very clear idea of what's available to us in terms of payroll flexibility available. I guess I don't want to call it surplus, but players who may be available to us via trade, which is always something we're interested in. We can be much more specific, and we're not doing it at a time when 20% of the players are off the market. We're doing it when one player is off the market, and we can go focus on everybody else.
2 things. The Mariners want another bat, and they want another bullpen arm. I think that is significant. Jerry Dipoto is writing that in stone. That is what the Mariners are looking for. 2, Dipoto makes a very good point in sort of what we talked about of Josh Naylor signing so early is so beneficial for how this front office can operate because not only do they know what his number is going to be money-wise and, what they have in the payroll and everything, they don't need to, save money in case Josh Naylor's market, increases tenfold because the Mets are going after him hard and that drives his value up. They now know how much he costs. They don't have to, they don't have to be afraid to go after re-signing a Jorge Polanco or Gino Suarez or one of these top-end bullpen arms. We can't go this high because we might need that money for Naylor later. No, they know that Naylor's at $18.5 million a year for 5 years. That is ginormous. That could transform this offseason. and how they're able to operate.
Yes, and you know what, Ethan? Evolution is a beautiful thing because I see growth. I see Jerry Dipoto grow before our very own eyes. He never talked about the moves and the prospective moves. He know this city is on fire, and now he and the Mariners organization are riding that wave. They're telling the fans, hey, we're going for it, and that's all I asked for at the beginning of this season. Say it, do it, mean what you say. The Mariners went further than they ever have as a franchise. And, Game 7, they were on a precipice of a World Series. They have that taste in their mouth, and now they want to complete the job. The job is not finished. Go Mariners.
Well, so let's talk names. I mean, Jerry Dipoto says they want to add another bat. They want to add another bullpen arm. Jorge Polanco and Gino Suarez are both free agents right now. ESPN ranked all of the free agents, 1 through 50, I believe, and then also provided some estimations about what it would cost. Right now, the Mariners, I think, are at $150 million or so payroll-wise. They said they ended the season at $166. Justin Hollander, or I believe Dipoto said after the season that they would like to have that $166 million mark be the starting point for where payroll will be heading into next season. So that gives you $16 to $20 million or so, maybe $25 million to work with. Gino Suarez projected at a two-year deal, $45 million a year, $22 million per year. What would you do that?
I would. I think this team has earned the right to run it back. I bring back Jorge Polanco and Gino Suarez and see what Suarez and Naylor can do in a complete season with the Mariners. Now, we all know they came mid-season, and Suarez didn't have the year that you would expect him to have. Let's be honest. He gave us moments, but he was not consistent. I would love to see what he can do in a full season where he knows where he's going to be. He knows what is expected, and the pop is undeniable. You need that pop in your lineup, and Suarez can provide that. Jorge Polanco, the wily veteran. Yep. I mean, the big-time clutch player. His performance in the playoffs alone warrants him a position on this team. And nothing is given. Everything is earned in this game, and I think Jorge Polanco has earned a few more years here as the Mariners.
So Polanco is forecasted a 2-year, $26 million deal, $13 per year. If you sign both those guys, that's an additional $35.5 million onto payroll. That's probably your cap. So I'll play devil's advocate here. If you can, because that probably takes you out of the running for a high-end bullpen arm. So a couple of the bullpen arms out there. The two top guys right now, Edwin Diaz, former Mariner. He's 32 now, but he opted out of I believe the last 2 years, $16 million of his contract. He's looking to make more. He's projected at $15 million a year over 4 years. Devin Williams, former star with the Brewers, hasn't been as good with the Yankees. So he's a candidate for maybe a 1-year, $10 to $15 million deal to where he can sort of reset his market, but he's forecasted at 3 years, $15 million a year. If you can only get one of those two bullpen arms, and then either Gino or Polanco, which two of those three would you take? Which one are you saying, we got to pass on? We just don't have the funds.
I think I'm counter to what everybody's thinking. I take Suarez just simply because of the pop, and I want to see what he can do in a full year. Polanco has been injured. He has been up and down with the Mariners. I mean, last year, the season before last season, he did not have a good season at all. As a matter of fact, he wasn't on the Mariners team till the last minute, days before the spring training started. So he was kind of an afterthought. This year or this season, he was the guy that Jerry Dipoto thought he was getting the previous year. Suarez, we know he get 50 home runs. You can't pass on that. But let me say this, Ethan. I don't worry about the bullpen. I mean, you got Bizzardo. You have Vargas. These are young players that the Mariners have developed and came out of nowhere. So the Mariners have proven that they can develop young pitchers into their roles that they need. Now, although people want to leverage arm, and we know, the failures, I guess you can say, of Bizzardo in the playoffs, he's a young player. He had a 1.24 ERA in the month of September. He came out of nowhere. He was a revelation. I say you let him grow into that role. You let a Vargas grow into that role. You supplement that. They made a minor move just yesterday for the bullpen. I feel confident that the Mariners organization can find bullpen arms and it not be those high profile guys that everybody's thinking they should get.
I'm sort of feeling the opposite. I'm team Jorge Polanco.
Okay.
I'm team Jorge Polanco
See,
because
you made me choose though. I want both.
No, okay, yeah.
I
fair.
want both.
Well, so I mean, so then are you prioritizing getting Gino and Polanco back and foregoing a bullpen arm?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
All right.
Yes.
I am.
Yes.
If I had to pick between a bullpen arm, Gino, Polanco.
So start, sit, ferry.
Starts. Yeah, there
Yes.
we go. There we,
Start, sit, ferry. Okay?
Producer Austin will like
Yes.
that. Yeah, start, sit, ferry. I'm going Jorge Polanco.
He's starting.
Yep, and then I'm gonna go bullpen arm.
Okay.
And then I'm gonna go Gino Suarez.
Where you sending Gino at? Whitby?
Yeah.
Orcus?
Yeah, let's go Whitby. Let's go Whitby. I think you need to add to this bullpen.
Yes.
If you ended up getting a John Duran, and I know that is the cream of the crop, right, for bullpen arms, you're definitely in the World Series, and you might even just mess around and win it. I mean, that is how close you were. Because I mean, if you think about just that game seven, and we're not even going to talk about the other games where they absolutely would have been in better situations if they had more depth in the bullpen. Edward Bizardo is not coming in the seventh inning. He's maybe able to come in the sixth or maybe a lower leverage spot. And by Dan Wilson's rationale of using your seventh inning guy, that's Matt Brash instead of Edward Bizardo there. You don't have to save Brash for the eighth or the ninth. So,
it puts everybody in their place.
It just moves everybody down in the pecking order to where you just have more depth, more length. It turns this bullpen into an absolutely lethal force, one that you had, that first run in the playoffs, with Seawald, or no, I guess you'd gotten rid of
Second
Seawald,
rider.
but yes. But so that's the problem that I have with banking on a Carlos Vargas and Edward Bizardo, either to repeat their performance or to improve. Look at a Drew Steckenrider. Look at Penn Murphy. Trent Thornton's been up and down. These guys where you're getting value, where they just sort of pop out of nowhere. Bullpen arms are so fickle and so spotty from year to year, volatile, that you just can't bet on Edward Bizardo to have another 1.24 ERA in the month of September.
Yes.
He's going to be in the bullpen on opening day because he has deserved that. But who knows what his ERA is going to be in May? Who knows what his role is going to be in July when the trade deadline comes? So,
that's my point about getting one of these high-profile guys, because they have bad years also. I just feel comfortable. It's not about the player. It's about the Mariners organization. I feel comfortable that they can develop a bullpen arm. I feel comfortable that they can find somebody in that position because they have over the years. And if you ask me, the bullpen wasn't the problem last season. We questioned some of the decisions that the manager made. Bizardo getting put in that position. He was a successful pitcher. Now we have a young manager. He even admitted to making some mistakes or bad choices. So I feel comfortable with this organization and the direction they go, and I definitely feel comfortable with them developing pitchers.
I would say think about how overused Gabe Spire, Andres Munoz, Matt Brash were in the playoffs, and that is exactly why the Mariners were pushing so hard to get an elite bullpen arm at the trade deadline. So I think that tells you a lot. I think that tells you how much they need another arm in the back end of that bullpen Matt Brash 2 years ago threw the most innings out of any reliever in the entire league, and then he had Tommy John the next season. So you want to avoid that potentially with Andres Munoz. Potentially, Tommy John, Matt Brash has already had Tommy John surgery once. You got to be careful with that arm. So they're banking a lot on these back end guys right now, to where I think you can use a proven commodity, and I think it would be worth using whatever you can allocate from your payroll. And I really like Jorge Polanco solely because I think last season, 2024, the injury-riddled season, I think that was more of an anomaly. I don't know if you get all of 2025, but I think you get a very solid hitter. He's a switch hitter. He has the flexibility to where he's very productive in that DH role. You can show him how to play first base. That gets Cal Raleigh off his feet. That gets Josh Naylor off his feet. That allows Cole Young to work in at second base when Polanco's DHing and Cal's behind the plate.
Yes.
And he's 32 as opposed to Gino being 34. I think that is significant.
It definitely gives you some versatility and flexibility in the lineup. I will agree with you with that. I just think 13 to 14, you're getting close to there for Polanco. That's a little bit too rich for my blood.
I mean, Gino, you're talking about a 34-year-old where you're going to be paying $24 million a year for a 34-year-old.
For a couple years, though.
That would be the same for Polanco.
And 50 home runs. I mean, him and Cal back to back like that. Mm-hmm. I just like the way that sounds. I like the way that look. Now let's talk about the bullpen and the two finalists in the World Series, the Toronto Blue Jays and the Dodgers. And the Dodgers have more money than anybody, and their bullpen was. It wasn't a world beater. So you can win the World Series without A-plus bullpen. The Toronto Blue Jays was there. The Dodgers was there without an A-plus bullpen. But what they did have, they had people that could put it over the fence and people that can hit. So when you're asking me to choose between the two, I'm going to choose the two hitters over that bullpen because I feel like you can't have it all. You have one of the best starting staffs who was kind of disappointing last year, let's be honest. If they played it at the back of their baseball card, you don't need a Bizarro and a Vargas to show up every night because because you have your starters, your frontline starters playing the way they're supposed to play. So I'd rather have that hitter.
I think it is relevant with the Dodgers to mention that, yeah, the bullpen maybe not as – I mean, they had some big names in that bullpen, but it's the depth of that starting rotation that was also, you move those guys into the bullpen. I mean, Yamamoto just went absolutely crazy, and that's what you get when you spend top dollar in the starting rotation, and you've got 8 guys who can legitimately be top 3 guys on any given team. Glasnow, Blake Snell, Yamamoto, Roki Sasaki moved to the bullpen. He was like,
and you have a manager with experience who rode his horses. Like when Yamamoto was going, do you think the Mariners let their pitcher go a complete game? No, he stuck to the script. He had a 7th inning guy. He had an 8th inning guy. He had a closer.
I feel like in every start there were reasons that the starters gave Dan Wilson to consider taking them out. And then that's where you get antsy as a manager, like, oh, you don't want to leave him in one hitter too long. There was reason to have those thoughts, I feel like. Okay. You can debate whether it was the right decision, but I feel pretty confident in saying that in most of those starts where people are upset that Dan pulled a starter too early, the starter was giving Dan Wilson reason to consider getting them pulled. And that's the biggest thing. In the playoffs, you just don't even want to give them a consider. And Yamamoto, a complete game shutout, one run. I mean, like, he was not giving Dave Roberts any reason to take him out. Anyway, we're over time on our Mariners conversation. Let's talk some football. Let's talk some Seahawks.
Oh yeah.
A tough loss to the LA Rams on Sunday, 21-19. Jason Myers, 61-yard field goal attempt at the buzzer. That's how close you were, and Sam Darnold threw 4 interceptions. I mean, we got to start there, but the Seahawks were right there with 4 turnovers.
Were they right there? Are we sure?
A field goal away.
Are we sure?
They were a field goal away. That's how good the defense is. That's how much the defense picked up Sam Darnold. Sorry.
The defense was great. This is a championship defense. Make no mistake about it. They showed so much heart defending a short field almost all game. They fighting for their life. But were they there close? Because let's go back to the first quarter when Sean McVay was in his bag, okay? When he was going for it on 4th down. When they were missing tackles all over the place and they could not stop the Rams, all right? They put the points up on the board. Then as the game goes along, they realize Sam Darnold can't beat us. This offense can't beat us. They're kicking field goals. So he throttles it down. He puts the governor on his game plan. That's why I feel this game was close.
Know about that.
Now, I do think the Seahawks defense rallied and they settled down. But make no mistake, that game plan changed once the Rams were up. They missed tackles all over the place. It was Kyron Williams had 10 carries, 92 yards, 54 of them after contact, okay? So I don't know if this game was as close as people said it was, and when you trying a 60-something yard field goal and you're going to take credit on that, oh, he got us in a field goal position, guess what, you guys? Let me give you some breaking news. A 60-yard field goal attempt is not getting in field goal position. No, he's not getting credit for that. I'm sorry.
I don't think it's – I wasn't trying to give Sam Darnold credit. I
Whoever,
was saying
the Seahawks, period.
Despite the 4 interceptions and how atrocious you played in the offensive side of the ball, you lost by 2 and you had a field goal attempt to win it at the buzzer against this Rams team. This offense is not going to play like that every single game, and I'm really excited for the rematch. D-Jack, I put together some takeaways from what I thought.
Yes.
Let me get your reaction.
Let's
to some
go
of these.
through them, man.
My first one, you can't start anywhere else but the turnovers. The Sam Darnold turnover problems are real, and you and Bill Wixie were talking about it. The interceptions against the Texans, against the Commanders,
the Buccaneers.
That stuff matters, and specifically in the Texans and the Commanders game. Did he have a turnover against the Cardinals? He may have, but those garbage time interceptions, turnovers, that stuff adds up against good teams because the margin of error is so small. So 4 multi-turnover games now for Sam Darnold this season. It doesn't mean that it can't get better, but it's definitely something to monitor.
Yes. I mean, you have 10 interceptions and you have 4 lost fumbles. And I think the Seattle defense only have 12 takeaways. Mm-hmm. So Sam Darnold in itself is -2 in the turnover differential. Like, think about that. Your quarterback who handles the ball almost every play, you're trusting him with the ball. He has to protect the ball a lot better for the Seahawks to be successful. Now, 2 things can be true. I think Sam Darnold has had some bad moments and some bad games. That is facts, okay? I still think Sam Darnold is QB1 and has had a fantastic season if you look at it as a whole. And I still believe in him in the future of the Seahawks, and I think it will go far. I was the one. I didn't hear anybody else pick them for 13 wins, all right? So don't come at me and tell me I'm not a believer. Okay, I've been a believer from day one before they took a snap. I didn't wait to see if this team was going to be good and then jump on the bandwagon. I said they would win 13 games preseason, okay? But he's not void of criticism. He has to take care of the ball a lot better. And a lot of the mistakes, I feel, are bonehead mistakes. You rushing, you putting it in between 2 people. It's not good turnovers at all. I'd rather for you to go for it, go deep and throw an interception there than making a bad pass because you under pressure. That's just my opinion.
It felt like Sam Darnold was very self-conscious about getting rid of the ball because of that Rams wildcard game where he took 9 sacks. It felt like he just didn't want to get sacked. And Michael Sean Dugar of The Athletic put out an article sort of talking about that, had a great quote from one of the Rams defensive backs. They were talking about how, like, they felt like he didn't want to get sacked. So you put pressure on him. They know he's going to get rid of the ball, and those defensive backs are just licking their chops, undercutting those routes.
Right.
Like, look at that Elijah Arroyo pick.
Yes.
So, yeah, that's tough. It feels like there's a bit of a Ram-sized monkey on Sam Darnold's back. 0-3.
Well, Seahawks.
The last 2 seasons. Yeah, you
could
argue the
not
Seahawks.
just Darnold, because I don't mean to cut you off, but they say I heard that the Seahawks have never beaten Stafford and McVay. They haven't beaten them yet. Now, people will go back to last season, the last game of the season. Well, Stafford didn't play. He didn't play.
Yeah, you can't count
so,
that one.
and Sean McVay, I think Mike McDonald was brought in specifically to beat Sean McVay and Shanahan.
Yeah.
The 49ers.
Shanahan, yeah.
Shanahan. Those 2 coaches in particular, they're 2 of the brightest young coaches in the NFL, and McDonald was brought in to beat them. And so far, they have the advantage.
Well, I will say that Matthew Stafford has not been the reason that the Seahawks have not beaten him. I'll go to my second takeaway. This defense will keep the Hawks in every single game the rest of the way,
I agree.
barring the entire starting 11 going down due to injury. Knock on wood. They held Matthew Stafford was the hottest quarterback in the league by far. 25 touchdowns to just 2 interceptions. He'd thrown 13 touchdowns his last 3 games, over 4 per game. They held him to 130 passing yards on 28 attempts. So when you talk about them ramping down the offense, maybe at the end of the first half, but what about the second half when they were trying to put the game away and they actually needed to score some points to separate themselves from the Seahawks, who the defense was getting stops. Matthew Stafford was completely out of rhythm. Completion percentage hovering around 50%. So this defense showed that it can compete with an elite offense and was fully tested and I believe passed with flying colors. That first touch, the defense makes the stop at the goal line on 4th down, that first possession. Sam Darnold throws the pick, and then you're starting at the minus 20-yard line.
Yes.
They give up the touchdown there. That's a tough situation to put a defense in. They were put in multiple situations like that, and they held their own. This defense is for real, and that is a major takeaway that I'm coming away from this game with.
And I concur wholeheartedly. Ethan, you're not going to get any disagreements from me about this defense. This defense is the reason why I believe the Hawks will go to the NFC Championship game, and I believe they will go to a Super Bowl because of this defense. Now it's up to the Seahawks to realize the strength of this team and stop letting Sam Darnold throw that ball all over the yard and now play to your strengths. Let's talk about Matthew Stafford. He still put on a master class. Whatever numbers you talk about, guess what he didn't do? He didn't turn the ball over. And that's a veteran quarterback who knows his limits and knows which ways the game is going. He didn't put the ball in harm's way at all. Their turnover was a Puka Nacua fumble. So, yes, he didn't have the numbers. He didn't have the completion percentage. I still say he played a good game because he did not turn the ball over.
My third takeaway.
Let's go to it. Number three.
It pertains to the Hawks offense and the turnovers. The blueprint, I feel like, is now out on how teams can slow down the Seahawks offense. The way that the Rams attacked them is they dared the Seahawks to run. They ran their dime package, 5 or more defensive backs, on over 60% of their early down plays. They wanted to limit the explosive plays to JSN, to Cooper Kupp, to A.J. Barner, to Elijah Arroyo, and they were like, go ahead, go run for 3 yards on us. The Hawks averaged less than 4 yards per carry on the ground. If teams are going to run predominantly dime packages on early downs, the Seahawks need to punish them with 5, 6, 12-yard rushing plays and getting chunks in that variety to force them to match the Seahawks' big personnel with big personnel.
Yes.
Cooper Kupp was talking about how the Rams were stacking the box with 8 dudes and then dropping into 2 high shells with the safeties instead of 1 high like they're used to with their big personnel forcing defenses to do stuff. The Rams have the personnel to be like, no, we're going to do what we want to do. We're going to stop what we want to stop, and that's your explosive plays. Go ahead, try to run the ball on us. And the Seahawks weren't able to do it good enough. So that worries me a little bit. Now, not every team in the league has the defensive personnel that the Los Angeles Rams do.
Right.
The Tennessee Titans that are coming up this week, they're not going to be able to match you with dime. Like, they just don't have the players to be able to do that. But when you go and play the Indianapolis Colts, when you go and rematch with the Rams and the 49ers, when you get into the playoffs and you play a Philadelphia Eagles team, you got to figure out how to counter what the Rams have now put on tape against your offense.
Thank you, Ethan. Now we're on the same page. Because when I get upset about a Sam Darnold game and I say he can't make bonehead decisions, people think I'm going at him. I'm playing for the next opponent. Mm-hmm. I have expectations and standards, for this team. All right, you're playing for the next opponent. You're playing for the Philly Eagles. You're playing for the Detroit Lions. That's the game you should be playing, right? You're trying to play to the best of your abilities, not down to your opponent. And I think that's what the Seahawks are doing. Now, the running game, we knew it was a problem. We've talked about it ad nauseum all season long. I think they need to pick a back, and I think that back is Ken Walker Jr. Now, I'm sorry, Ken Walker III. Now,
Junior.
In the beginning of the season, I thought Zach Charbonnet was that guy. But guess what? You need your game changers, your game breakers, your playmakers on the field at all times. Now, you have to not just call plays if you're Kubiak. You need to call plays for your players if you're Kubiak. And your second biggest game breaker on this team, I would say, is Ken Walker, only second to JSN. And you have to get him balls, the football, in a variety of ways. He doesn't need 20 carries. He needs 20 touches. Now, and I saw a 3rd-and-1 play in particular where he leaked out of the backfield and caught a swing pass and took it for a good 12 or 15 yards. I need to see more of that. Just get the guy the ball in space and let him do his thing. He is not a handoff, run it up the middle guy. Okay? Let's get creative and get this guy the ball in space and give the ball to our game breaker. Your second best game breaker, in my opinion, is Ken Walker. Get him the ball more. You need to settle down on this rotation and give Ken the ball.
Yeah, it is interesting how they're handling the running back room. We talked about in the offseason how it could be good to split carries between Charbonnet and K9 to keep K9 on the field. I feel like now is the time where it's like, let's let him go.
Yes.
Let's let him go because he's clearly the more.
We're halfway through the season. We're on the back end. You done had your bye.
It's time to go.
Give it to him.
I will say, despite if you before this game, if you had told me that Sam Darnold was going to throw 4 interceptions, I would have said, oh, well, then the Hawks lost by 30.
Yes.
They lost by 2 and had a field goal there to win the game. And if not for the perfect punt of all punts ever, the Seahawks probably win that game. This was, in my opinion, maybe not the biggest moment of the game, but this was the game decider. If you take away the interceptions, the punt was the game decider.
I agree with you.
If you look at the situation, the Seahawks had 1 timeout. They just forced the Rams to punt with 1 minute and 41 seconds left on the clock. They pinned the Hawks inside the 1-yard line. Now the Hawks just have to get off the goal line.
Right.
The goal isn't let's get into field goal range. You got to get off of your own goal line to prevent a safety, prevent a sack, fumble in the end zone, whatever.
Yes.
The Hawks got out of their own 5-yard line up to the 14 in 3 plays, and the clock was down to 53 seconds.
Yes.
That takes 50 more seconds off the clock just trying to get off the goal line. Now, instead of starting the drive at a pretty solid
20,
punt, a solid punt would have been
15.
Starting at the 10 or the 15-yard line where you don't have to worry about that goal line with 1 minute and 40 on the clock and 1 timeout. Instead, you're starting at the 15-yard line with 55 seconds and 1 timeout. That is a ginormous difference.
Yes.
And the fact that the Seahawks got within what is a reasonable, field goal attempt, as opposed to we need to do a Hail Mary here, that made sense to go with the 61-yarder. Jason Myers did a 61-yarder before its career high. To get to that exact yard line, probably the yard line where you were like, okay, we can send Jason out there with 1 second left.
Yes.
I mean, by the slimmest of margins.
It was beautiful. It was beautiful execution.
It was great execution. Time management. Maybe we'll see. As far as that last play, yes, it was great. But if you give that offense an extra 50 seconds, I mean, they're getting that ball down to the 30, 35-yard line, and Jason Myers is hitting a 55 to 50-yarder.
I think you give them an extra 10 seconds and they get in the field goal range. I had every bit of confidence.
That's what I'm saying. With how bad they played, that is how close this game was.
Yes.
And I think the Rams played the better game because you can't turn the ball over 4 times and expect to win. But despite that, the other facets of this Seahawks team, the offense rallied. Sam Darnold got, put up 19 points through all of the warts through this game. The defense put stops to the hottest offense in the entire NFL, and you were just a field goal short, a perfect punt not happening away from winning this game and being at the top of the NFC West, in my opinion.
You won't get any objections here.
You're not gonna test the comments on this one?
I feel the same way. I feel good about the Hawks, but there's no moral victories because, like Bill Parcells said, you are what your records say you are. And they put themselves behind the 8 ball by 1, losing to the Niners in the first game of the season, and now you lose to the Rams. So even if you go back and beat the Rams again, you need help. You need help because the Rams have owned the Niners this season. And the Arizona Cardinals, of course. So the Rams are in the driver's seat, and you need help, and you put yourself in that position. So you can have all the moral victories you want. The record says they lost, and that's what they are. I feel great about this defense. The offense needs some work.
I think my takeaway from the Seahawks coming so close to winning this game, yes, it's hard to take moral victories, but I still feel really, really good about the Seahawks team.
Yeah, they're a great team.
And Sam Darnold needs to improve, but I still feel very confident with him as the quarterback of the Seahawks moving forward. I think he's shown an ability to grow and evolve as a quarterback from the mistakes that he makes. And that's what Mike McDonald says. He's not going to go to Sam and be like, hey, stop turning the ball over.
Let it rip.
Because he wants him to let it rip. He wants him to be aggressive. He wants him to make aggressive mistakes because that's how you learn. So this all comes back to Mike McDonald, his teaching points, and the culture that he's trying to build. Sam Darnold is encapsulating that, and I have full belief that he's going to build and grow from this game, and you're going to see some adjustments in that rematch against the Rams.
Real quick question, because I know we're running up on time. With all that being said about Sam Darnold, this is the one question.
Okay.
All right, is he your franchise quarterback?
I think you need to see more than 10 games from him to be able to make that decision. I think it's too rain check with me at the end of the season. You know what I mean? Like, signs are pointing to me at yes. And franchise quarterback, you normally give franchise quarterbacks, pay him up at near the top of the league. Sam Darnold's on one of the more team-friendly contracts in the entire league. That allows you to build this defense up. That allows you to build the rest of the offensive weapons. So I think if the question was, do I want to keep Sam Darnold on this team for the next 2 to 3 years, and instead of putting that franchise quarterback label on it, yeah, I want him as my quarterback for the next 2 to 3 years, and to let Jalen Milroe develop. I'm in no rush to see what Jalen Milroe provides this team, if that is sort of the underlying what is with that question. You know what I mean?
It's just a straight up question. Is he your franchise quarterback?
And I gave you like a super roundabout answer.
Yeah, because if you're a franchise quarterback, you rip up that team friendly deal and you pay him like a franchise quarterback, regardless of what you can get or what you can't get in the defense and all that stuff. No, because you see, if he was performing like a franchise quarterback, he don't throw those 4 interceptions and he throw 4 touchdowns instead, you would have a different answer today. So you answered it, but you didn't.
Yeah, you're right. Let's check back next week.
All right. I give you a week. Let's move on, man.
We're running long on time, but let's get to our stalwarts really quick. The Seahawks going to Tennessee to play the Titans. Worst offense in the league by yards and points per game. Also the worst rushing offense in the league. Bottom 10 defense in yards and points allowed. They give up over 27 points per game. They've got the worst point differential in the league. They're losing games by 13 points a game.
Rookie quarterback.
Now. 1-9. Yeah, rookie quarterback. 1-9. Top odds for the top pick in the draft. This is your get right game. D-Jack, you picked Kenneth Walker as your star watch. Why is that?
Get right. We have to get the run game right. The Seahawks have to get the run game right. And I said Ken Walker needs to become that bell cow. The time is now. All right, you've saved him for half of the season. You've split carries with Zach Charbonnet. Now it's time to get Ken Walker. I'm not saying he gets 20 touches. He needs, I'm saying not 20 carries. He needs to get at least 20 touches. Mm-hmm. That's the difference right there. You don't have to run him up the middle 20 times. Yeah. That's not what we're asking. We say get the guy ball in space. I think Ken Walker gets right with this game.
I like AJ Barner because
he was fantastic last week.
I mean, what an incredible game. 10 catches. I think the Seahawks are going to go run heavy. I think they're going to really try to establish their identity on the ground. So. I really hope so as well. And because of that, I think it's just going to open up more on play action. And I think JSN would have been too on the nose. I think he's going to have a big game, obviously, but I like AJ Barner to really get explosive in the pass game because he's so heavily involved with the run blocking that if you're actually effective on the ground game, it's going to mean he's more open when he's shedding blocks and going out running routes, on those play action
I'm going to give you another name, Cooper Kupp. I think this is Cooper Kupp's breakout game. Okay. I think they're going to go ahead and double JSN and do everything they can to stop him. Look for Cooper Kupp to finally have that breakout game that everybody's been waiting for.
But as we wrap up, I think for me the biggest thing in this game, let's see the offense just not turn the ball over this entire game. It's only happened once this season against the Jags. let's see a interception-free game from Sam Darnold. Let's see a mistake-free game from the offense in the turnover department. And let's see some confidence get going in the running game. This is the confidence-building game of all confidence-building games. You cannot play a worse team in the league. So
but
let's
don't
see them
overlook
go get
them.
that. No, don't
Those
overlook
guys
them.
on scholarship too
Go
now.
puff your chest out and go dominate them on the football field.
And they have beat up on the Redskins and the Cardinals.
Mm-hmm.
They have came out and overwhelmed those teams, and that's what I expect. I expect them to come out and boat race the Titans.
Okay, let's update our pick standings. I went 2-1. DJ went 2-1, and Austin and Will Ordner both 3-0 undefeated weeks. Austin just 3 games back of me in the lead. Will Ordner just 4 games back. DJ, we're back to 500 at least. I guess that is an improvement. Let's go with your picks first. You're going Seahawks. Love that pick. For obvious reasons. The Ravens at home against the Jets, and your underdog, the Cowboys at home against the Eagles. Why'd you pick the Cowboys?
The Cowboys I love their offense. I saw them I know it was Vegas, but I think they can score against anybody. Philly has had problems scoring.
Yes.
Definitely. I think the Cowboys outscore them, and they slayed a giant in the Philadelphia Eagles.
Yeah, that's a great pick. Will Ordner of Chat Sports, friend of the pod, he's going with the Packers at home against the Vikings, the Lions at home against the Giants, and his underdog of the week, the Indianapolis Colts at the Kansas City Chiefs, who are back down to 5-5 and struggling a little bit. I'll go with mine. I have the same underdog with the Colts and the Chiefs as Will. I'm also going with the Patriots at the Bengals, and similar to you, DJ, I can go on Seahawks at Titans as my
and I don't
second
like
block
picking
pick.
the Seahawks, but I'm in last place.
This is the game to do it, right?
I'm in last
you need
place.
wins, DJ.
Yes,
You got to stack
yes,
wins.
I got to stack them, man. Old big head.
Austin Lane, producer extraordinaire, he's going with the Ravens versus the Jets, Patriots at the Bengals, and his underdog, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers at the Los Angeles Rams.
Okay.
That would be fun. I would enjoy that result.
We
Austin,
need
I
them to
hope you're
come
right.
back. We
I
need
hope
to
you catch me, Austin.
Come back to the pack. Come back to the pack, Rams.
Let's wrap things up really quick. I wanted to give a quick PSA, I guess. If you didn't know, you're a hockey fan. New women's hockey team in town, the Seattle Torrent.
Yes.
A lot of games are going to be on our air, Fox 13 Plus. 24 of the 30 regular season games are going to be on our air, including the home opener November 28th against Vancouver, right here on Fox 13 Plus. They start the regular season on Friday. A newest franchise in the Seattle professional sports team. 24 games here on Fox 13 Plus. So very excited.
And Torrent, come and get your sideline pass.
Yes.
You're welcome here anytime.
Absolutely.
Right here. Come sit right here with me and Ethan. We're the home of the Torrent. Welcome.
Absolutely. That's going to do it for this edition of the podcast with DJ Dante Jackson. I'm Ethan McReynolds. See you next time on The Sidelines.
Let's go!
On the Sidelines is available wherever you get your podcast.